Hey everybody, Captain Lou here with another edition of Tigers Daily, partnered up with the Pan Arch Network. Happy Saturday, July the 25th, 2026. Hope you're having a great start to your weekend. We want to take a moment to invite you, if you haven't already, to subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is Tigers Daily. We give you all the updates, the good, the bad, everything in between. We talk about the latest rumors, the games from the night before, and of course we preview what's coming up in the world of the Detroit Tigers. For those of you that have subscribed to the channel, I say thank you very much. The response has been fantastic. The viewership's been great. The comments and everything, the banner back and forth, we love it. And so we'd love to have you be a part of that every day right here on Tigers Daily. All right, as we mentioned, it's a happy start to the weekend, especially in the clubhouse of Comerica Park for the Tigers. What a game for Tarek Skubal. 12 strikeouts, a Skubal dozen last night. 12 strikeouts, one walk. He did give up the earned run, but that's it in a masterful performance. 7 1/3 innings for the Tigers as they hung on to win 2-1 to win their third straight game and take the first two of the four-game set over division rival Kansas City. Skubal, he just had that look. You could tell he was on a mission. I had a feeling. We said last night, or yesterday rather, on the show, don't be surprised if Skubal gets double-digit strikeouts for the Tigers. He had that defiant look in that press conference the night before. He was trying to walk back the comments he made the other day about, not getting that MRI. Not the greatest look for Skubal in that press conference, and you could tell he was pretty defiant in that press conference on Thursday. And, he was trying to walk back the comments, saying they were taken out of context, blown out of proportion, whatever. He wants to remain a Tiger. We'll talk about that in a moment. But you could tell he was he was ticked off in that little press conference or whatever on Thursday in the locker room before the game. So what did he do today? Yesterday? Again, 12 strikeouts, a season high, 91 pitches. Hinch brought him in the eighth inning to get the opening batter, and then he took him out. Standing ovation for Skubal. Hannafy came in, got the next two batters out, and then Kenley Jansen, affectionately called Gas Can by some of our fellow commenters, followers here on Tigers Daily. And I got to be honest with you, I was right there with them, with you guys. But Jansen looked like the Kenley Jansen of old last night, mowing down the Royals with relative ease in the ninth inning to preserve that 2-1 victory for the Tigers and Tarek Skubal. 12th save of the year for Kenley Jansen. And as we mentioned, the Tigers take the first two. How about Hao-Yu Lee? He got the game-winning RBI for the Tigers in the first inning. This is kind of a trend for the Tigers. They get on the board early, and then they kind of hang on to the lead at the end. Well, they did that again last night. Riley Green with a sacrifice fly to give him a 1-0 lead. And then Hao-Yu Lee with that base hit, that RBI, turned out to be the game winner as Skubal gave up a run to make it 2-1, and that held. But for Lee, a very interesting stat for him. With runners in scoring position and 2 outs this year, Hao-Yu Lee is batting .500. It doesn't get much better than that for anybody that's up with runners in scoring position. That's a money player. That's a clutch player. His second stint this year for the Tigers, and he's proven that he's got a place in that lineup right now, even with Gleyber Torres. So, it's going to make for some interesting decisions once Javi Baez comes back. Javi Baez, by the way, today is going to get a rehab start in Toledo. So keep an eye on Baez. He could be back in the lineup anytime. We had said the target date might be early August. We'll see how it goes next week. And with that trade deadline looming, he's not going to go anywhere. He's got a lot left on his contract money-wise. He'll be around next year. I would be shocked if he gets traded, but it's going to be interesting to see maybe if that puts somebody else on the block for the Tigers. Who knows? So many questions. But anyways, getting back to Hao-Yu Lee again, another solid bat for the Tigers, another solid night for him. He got the last out of the game on the putout. Back to Skubal. 999 career strikeouts now for Skubal and all for the Tigers. Ironically enough, Torkelson, He's at 99 home runs. Two interesting stats right there. So, again, good, obviously a masterful performance for Tarek Skubal. And Kenley Jansen was saved, number 488. So the Tigers win. First two games of the set against Kansas City. Games 3 and 4 are afternoon games. We'll talk about that in a few moments. But another big win. The Tigers needed it. And a masterful win for Tarek Skubal. Now, obviously, the watch comes on. Now, I know it's the elephant in the room. It's talked about by everybody. You can't avoid it. Now, we talked about it a couple of minutes ago as well. Tarek Skubal with a masterful performance. He had that press conference on Thursday. Wednesday, he told reporters that he didn't get that MRI right away. You know, he kind of hid the injury. I don't think he did it intentionally. And I kind of believe him there. But he also was truthful when he said that he didn't get the MRI partially because he was going to court for arbitration and he wanted to get the most money possible. And I don't blame a guy for wanting to get as much as he can. But he put the Tigers in kind of a bad way. He claims it wasn't that big of a deal. And I guess it depends who you listen to. So does that play a factor in Skubal getting traded? Now, I know what I said yesterday, and I'm going to stick by it. I think that might be one of the final straws. But who knows, right? Skubal says he wants to stay in Detroit through the end of the year. And yeah, in a perfect world, I'd love to see it. But the problem is he's going to be an unrestricted free agent. We all know that. So if he goes till the end of the year, what are the chances Detroit re-signs him? The only way I think it'd be worth it is if Detroit wins a World Series. And I'd love to see that happen. But I mean, Detroit is still 4 games under 500. They got to get to the playoffs, and there's no guarantee. And I know there's no guarantee in life with anything, but it's such a quandary. You know, part of me wants to keep him here. I still want to see him here. But I also don't want to lose him for nothing. Again, I go back to Shohei Ohtani when he was with the Angels. The Angels did nothing with him at the deadline. They got nothing in return when he walked and went down the street and became a member of the Los Angeles Dodgers. That's the quandary that the Tigers are looking at. We all know that. As much as we all would love to have him stay. Is he going to come back? The chances of that are slim to none. And I just, because the money he's going to want, and when you got Scott Boras as your agent, the extension that they offered him was crazy. But he's not going to, I just think realistically, the Tigers are going to have to deal him. So, but now the big question, was that his last game in a Tigers uniform? He's still scheduled to pitch one more time in the rotation for the Tigers. And that's going to be Wednesday afternoon against the Baltimore Orioles in the last game of that 3-game set, the last game of the homestand. What are the chances he pitches there? I still think those are pretty good. The deadline's not till Monday, August 3rd. So I got a feeling it's going to go right until then. Because when you got a performance like Skubal had last night, 12 strikeouts, 1 walk, I mean, he was masterful. The price of poker, I think, is going to go up a little bit. So everybody's talking about this with Skubal. Again, he's the most sought-after free agent right now. And the team at the top of the list where a lot of people are thinking he's going to go to, obviously, is going to be the Los Angeles Dodgers. The embarrassment of riches that they have. They've made no bones about it. They're probably looking for another starting pitcher. I know the Brewers are. They're probably the second favorite, and maybe Tampa Bay. But we really haven't talked about the Dodgers as a suitor for Skubal should he be traded. And if I'm the Tigers, if I'm Scott Harrison, I'm not, obviously, I would go after as much as you can. Now, you would obviously like an everyday starter right away in return. The name that's been tossed around, and I don't know if this is realistic or not. Again, this is all hearsay. Look at Emmett Sheehan, whatever. 18 starts for the Dodgers. Now, on the flip side, his ERA is kind of high, 5.13. But I don't see them getting rid of anybody else. I don't think Wrobleski's going to be in the mix to go as a trade piece for Skubal. But then again, you say, why would they trade one starter for another? Well, when you get the guy the caliber of Skubal, you're going to have to pay the price. So I'd go after Emmett Sheehan maybe, and also I'd look, not just him, I would look at somebody one of their top prospects. Now, DePaula, he's hands off. From what I hear, he's untouchable in the Dodgers minor league system. But Serrata or Quintero, Eduardo Quintero, I think he's one that you might want to think about getting. A right-handed bat, someone he hits for power, hits for average, he's got decent speed. And that's another thing that the Tigers have to maybe address. I know it's not a big part of baseball anymore, but they need someone with speed so maybe they can steal a few bases. Detroit ranks dead last right now in stolen bases. So, yeah, it's again, we have to address the elephant in the room, and that's Tarek Skubal being on the trading block. I mean, the other ones, obviously, we've talked about. Casey Mize, the rumors are it's a 60% chance he's going to be traded. I don't know. But, and maybe Gleyber Torres with what's coming up, the way that how you lead. I personally wouldn't trade Torres. I would like to keep him in Detroit. He's a steady bat. The bats are warming up. Obviously, Detroit could use some bullpen help. We've talked about Mason Miller. We could go on and on about that. But for today's sake, with Skubal pitching last night, the microscope is on him. The bright lights are on him. That's all everybody's going to talk about here in Detroit. So we thought today, again, we would address it. And the team that's on the top of the list that everybody seems to think is going to make the biggest pitch is going to be the Dodgers. So what does Scott Harris do? We asked you, what did you think? Is Scott Harris capable of pulling off a trade? Now, if you look at some of the comments that have come up, pretty much everybody that's commented yesterday doesn't trust Scott Harris in making a good deal. What can they get in return? Doug Clark, for example, he said extend Green, DFA Harris. Yeah, I don't blame you there, Dougie. I would do the same thing. And a lot of them, like I said, Virgil Green doesn't believe in Illich's or Harris's ability to wheel and deal effectively. I don't know if I do either. And again, just here's one, though. Big Daddy Brick, 1997. He says, I'm going to wait and judge Harris until we see what he does with number 29. That's fair. If he can get a haul for him. Now, here's the thing. It's not going to be right away we're going to see the results. So this is like anything else. It's like draft picks in any league. He'll be judged down the road. But I got to do something. I think as much as I want to keep him, I think Skubal's got to go. Skubal just has to go. And I think he kind of made it clear that he wasn't happy. And I know he was taking it out on the media, saying that they took his words out of context. I don't really think they did. I think he's backtracking. I think Scott Boras is also kind of coaching him on what to do after he said something like that. Now, Tony Imperial says he doesn't want to extend Riley Green. That's fair. We asked that question yesterday as well. So just some questions out there. Again, we love the feedback here on Tigers Daily. I really appreciate the comments. Again, Ted Cummings, he chimes in. He said, why is everybody talking about two options for Skubal? Keep him for a playoff run and let him go to free agency at the end of the season or trade him to build a future. Well, there's no salary cap, but that's right now. So two great questions by Ted. So again, great to have him chiming in. Other questions. Those are just some of the questions that we have in some of the comments. So again, it all goes back to Skubal. He's on the clock right now. The Skubal watch is on. 9 days until the trade deadline. His next start scheduled in a Tigers uniform is Wednesday. So we'll find out if this is indeed his swan song. All right, coming up this weekend for the Tigers, we talked about it. Game 3 and Game 4, the 4-game set. Both afternoon games. 1:10 first pitch this afternoon. Casey Mize is on the bump for the Tigers. His last time out, a little bit of a scare. He got a comebacker on his non-throwing hand right underneath the wrist, but he seems to be fine. Apparently, his groin pull or his stiffness, that's okay. So he's going to go today, and then tomorrow, Framber Valdez back on the bump. Now, he got lit up in his last outing. He didn't even last an inning, but I'm going to give him a free pass. You know, we were kind of harsh on him, obviously, in that, you know, in that first inning against the Cubs where he didn't make it out of the inning. Well, he's been dealing with the death of his grandmother. He just came off of bereavement for a week, and they were pretty close. She was like a mother to him. So that, and with what's gone on with the earthquakes and whatnot in Venezuela, I'm going to give him a pass on that. His head probably wasn't in it. Now, he's a professional. I get it. But we'll see what he can do on Sunday for the Tigers. Again, he'll be pitching the series finale for the Tigers against the Royals. So Kevin McConnell, by the way, got the day off yesterday. He'll be back in the lineup today for the Tigers. Good to be able to get him some rest. As we all know, the rookies, sometimes they hit that rookie wall in the dog days of August. So it's good to be able to get him a day off. He'll be back in the lineup for the Tigers today as well. All right, we're going to end here today. Something that we did last week. And we asked you the question, when did you start following the Tigers? And we got some great answers, all the way from when Al Kaline was a rookie until the mid-60s. A lot of you guys and gals started following him in the early 80s when the Tigers went to the World Series in 84. Like I told everybody, my first game that I can remember was 1971 with the Tigers. And then, of course, I remember like it was yesterday, the division series back in 1972. The response has been fantastic. But I'd love to ask you, and we'll talk about this on Monday. We'll give all the answers to this. What was the first game for the Tigers that you ever attended? For me, it wasn't at Tiger Stadium. I grew up in the Upper Peninsula in Munising. So it was closer for us to go to Milwaukee, to County Stadium. And so that's what I did. 1974, it was in August. I can't remember the exact day. I want to say August 9th. The Tigers playing the Brewers. Both teams were not very good. Old County Stadium. I think there was like 8,500 people. Woody Fryman had a no-hitter going into the 8th inning. Eduardo Rodriguez got a base hit for the Tigers, or for the Brewers, to break up the no-no. He ended up getting a one-hit shutout. Aurelio Rodriguez was the other hero for the Tigers that day. A 2-run blast to make it a 2-0 game. I remember it as if it was yesterday. Here is the crazy stat from that too. You remember Ron LaFleur, right? That was his first game called up from AAA for the Tigers. He struck out 4 times. The things you can remember as a kid going to the ballpark. That was my first game ever going to watch the Detroit Tigers. I'll always cherish that memory. So what's your game? What's your first game? I'd love to hear from you. Love to see the responses. We'll make sure to tell everybody on Monday what your first Tiger game was. Can't wait to see and hear from all of you guys. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of Tigers Daily. Again, we invite you to subscribe to our channel, which is Tigers Daily, and you get all of our updates, all of our banner back and forth. For those of you that have done it, again, I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for doing it. The response has been fantastic. All right, enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody. Enjoy the games this weekend, and be safe. We want to have you back for our next edition of Tigers Daily. Until next time, Captain Lou saying keep your heads up, keep your sticks down, keep your feet moving, and as always, keep your minds open. So long.